Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be putting together our social media plans and calendars for the year based on the last video that I did last week where we crafted our content strategy. So if you've ever wanted to know how to create a really meaningful social media calendar, then this video is for you because we are going to map all of the content that we put out to our immediate revenue goals. With that being said, let's head over to the whiteboard and start crafting our social media calendar. Before we get started on the social media calendar, if you haven't watched last week's video, which was all about how to craft the content strategy, which then informs the social media calendar, you need to go back and watch it. This is the thumbnail, and I'll attach a card up top so that you can go and watch that one before we do this. But for those of you who want to keep watching, let's press on. So just to quickly recap, last week we talked about the example of a tax consultant. They want to make 20K in their first quarter, and they have a few different products. They do tax returns, they do corporate consulting, and they have a money course that they want to launch. Now, tax returns are probably not going to really start factoring in until halfway through the year, so we don't have that on our content plan. The main ways we're going to be making money in this first quarter is with corporate consulting, which is $1,000 a day, and we're going to launch a money course, which we decided to make $99, or let's just call it $100. Based on that, we wanted to use YouTube as our primary channel, and we also wanted to use Instagram as a fairly heavy hitter in terms of channels that we wanted to use as well. They're the two we're going to focus on. So we're going to put out one video a week on YouTube, and then we're going to do, maybe 3 to 4 posts a week on Instagram, depending on what your scheduling availability is, depending on how much capacity that you have to create content. It's really up to you. Please don't read into what I'm doing in the example as something that you need to go and change within your strategy. If you post every day, if you post every 2 days, you just do what you can do, what you have capacity for. This is just for the purposes of this example. So we need to be creating 4 videos in this week here, right? And I'm just basically going to map out the first 5 weeks of this content calendar for you, because I think after that point, you're really going to catch the drift and you're not going to need me to do the rest of the entire quarter. If we are trying to sell our corporate consulting, we're keeping that in mind. We want to do a video each week on YouTube. We go away, we do our research, and I have prepared some videos earlier, which we'll now use, which is really exciting because you don't have to watch me try and think on the spot. So tax consultant, our first video, we're going to talk about debits and credits explained. So I'm going to pop that here. I know this is messy, but you have to understand this is a little bit of an insight into my mind because I'm a creative. So for those of you who are super organized, you can turn this into some really pretty, beautiful spreadsheet. But for the purposes of just getting through this, this is how my mind works. So that's the first video, debits and credits explained. And then our second video, which is going to fall on this week, is going to be all about incremental budgeting. Then our third video for the following week is going to be profit and loss sheet explained. So maybe there's even a template in there for people to download or something like that. And our fourth week here, what we have to remember is, sure, we could do just another straight up accounting type video, but the following week here, we're trying to launch a money course. So here is where I decided to transition into content that was geared more towards launching a course than, say, the corporate consulting. So the video I chose for this particular week is budgeting for beginners. And then that gives you a platform on which you can then go to tell people why they need your money course, right? So there are 4 videos that we've got stationed for those weeks. And you can see here, just to remind you, that I've got video times 4 here because that's when we're going to film these 4 videos. Now, if you can actually read that date, we're long past that date. You can just ignore that. The idea is to be organized and do this before the quarter starts. But if you're coming in now and you want to start now, that's fine. You're going to be thinking about this week, right? So I would start planning it out from there onwards and give yourself time, you know, especially if you're doing video or podcast or something like that, give yourself time to film, give yourself time to think and prepare. Now, if you remember, our other platform is Instagram. So what we want to do is look at the video that we have coming out that week and look at how we can support that and then potentially link it back to the offer that we have, right? So our first video is Debits and Credits Explained. And I've chosen I'm dealing with post-it notes and a video here, so I've just picked 3 Instagram ideas to run with just because I couldn't really fit 4. So in this first week here, this is messy, isn't it? So we've got our video, and this is going to be our Instagram. So Instagram week 1. The first item that I have on that is our video snippet. We want to be pushing people back to our pillar content. So remember, we chose YouTube because that's our pillar content. Your pillar content might be a podcast or it might be a blog. But what we're trying to do is entice people to go and check out whatever our pillar content is. And for us, that's our video on YouTube. So I've written video snippet here. So I will clip out a video snippet, much like I do on my channel. You guys see it all the time on my Instagram. And I push people back to YouTube. And really that's important for me to do in the first 48 hours because those are the metrics that really matter to YouTube. They want to know if something matters to your audience by how well the traction goes in the first 48 hours, right? So I create a video snippet, I put that out on Instagram, I let people know to go to my YouTube and watch it, and let's pretend I'm the tax consultant, she would do the same. Now our second Instagram post that we're going to do for that week, I've written examples. So in this case, the video says Debits and Credits Explained, that was the main video. So as a tax consultant, I probably have an example of how I've used debits and credits to get a result, or how a client has understood debits and credits and gotten a result, right? So that's really just specific to the niche that we've chosen, the tax consultancy. So an example that relates back to the video, and again, is social proof to show people who are watching that you'd be a great consultant, that you'd be able to speak into their business as well and get them a result as well. And the last Instagram post for that week, I've written the best accounting apps for business. So you'd write a post about maybe all the different accounting apps or the ones that you have on your phone and what is best for business. And obviously that again links back to YouTube, but it also links back to corporate consulting. People know, if they're familiar with any of the apps that you're using, then that's going to build trust. Or if they download some of those apps and they're really loving them, again, that's going to build trust and make it easier for them to reach out and purchase that corporate consulting. Let's move on to week 2. I hope this is making sense. So for week 2, we're going to look at our Instagram posts for that. Now, I know you can't see what I've written on the post-it note. It doesn't matter. I'm explaining it. So again, for the first post, we've got the video snippet, or you can also use the thumbnail, by the way. If you don't, if you outsource and it costs you extra for a video snippet, or you don't know how to edit yourself, just go and use the thumbnail. It's fine. It's just the piece of content that leads back to that pillar video or that pillar content. So we've got that going out, on the day that the video comes out. Our second piece of content for that particular week is 3 ways incremental budgeting saves you dollars. Again, that feeds back into your expertise. It shows people that you know what you're talking about, shows people that you've worked with other people before, because how would you know how it saves people money if you hadn't been doing that with people first? So again, it feeds back into corporate consulting. And the last post that I have for Instagram that week is a common problem and the answer that you have for that common problem around incremental budgeting. I am not an accountant, as we all know, and so I'm sure there's a ton of questions around incremental budgeting that accountants get. I don't happen to know them, so I've just generically written, a common problem and answer around that type of thing. Now remember, we're halfway through these 4 weeks. I just want to remind you, at the end of all of these posts, you are more than welcome to put a call to action to your corporate consulting. The video snippets, the call to action is going to be to the pillar content, to the video. But there's nothing stopping you saying, go and fill out this form for a discovery call or slide into the DMs. Whatever it is, whatever platform that you're on, you can use these posts to feed back into the revenue making sales things in your business. And that's the whole point of this. We're trying to be more strategic because we need to make 20K, because we're working for ourselves and because our kids don't earn money. So we need to put the bread on the table, right? Okay, so week 3, remember our pillar video is P&L sheet explained, profit and loss. If you're not in the biz, we all know I'm not in the biz, but I do know what P&L means. So our Instagram content for that week, again, first things first, it's gonna be the video snippet, pour everyone back into the pillar video. The second Instagram post for that week is going to be, I wrote, the easiest way to increase profit. Posts like that are really, really good because there's one takeaway. If it's practical, even better. If it's something people can implement straight away, even better. That's shareable, that's savable, that's comment worthy. And again, at the end of something like that, really great place for your call to action. And the third Instagram post for that week is things that look like profit, but are actually loss. Now, I have no idea what those things are, but an accountant would know. So kudos to our fake accountant and her bank of knowledge. Now, we're in our 4th week, and remember that our 4th week is our intro week into launching our course in the 5th week. So all of our content is going to pertain to that because we want to drive that message. We've been putting out free, helpful content for 3 weeks prior, like super valuable content that's gonna help save people money and help people in their general business endeavors. And now it's time for us to go a little bit sales, and that's fine, by the way. If you're giving value, never doubt yourself when it comes to asking for the sale. You're in business to make money, so let's make money. So week 4, remember that the video is budgeting for beginners to, be like a nice soft entry into our course week, our launching of our course week. So the Instagram post that I have for that week is, again, the video snippet to link back to the video because that's important. So the second post for Instagram this week is going to be a launch announcement. So basically you're wanting to point all eyes in the direction of the course that is coming. You want to build momentum and exciting. Maybe you have an offer where if they sign up to the wait list this week, they get an extra bonus or something like that if they join the course. Maybe they get a 30-minute call with you or something like that. But the point is to create momentum around what's coming because we want people to buy this. We want all the people who can't afford $1,000 a day with you to be paying out the $99 for a course. That's going to save them far more than $99 because it's a course about money, right? And our third Instagram post for this week is a case study or a testimonial. It doesn't have to be about the course. It can be about clients where you've saved them money, you've helped them budget, you've helped get their business on track, and that's content that you're feeding into this course. So you can have more posts this week as well. It was just that, again, I can only fit 3 on the Post-it note, but this week I'd probably go a little bit ham on the posts because you're wanting to drum up that attraction and that attention towards what you have being launched. So that's what I have planned for you this week. I hope that makes sense. We are trying to go deeper with our content strategy so that we can go deeper with our social media posts as well and make them make sense and not just be arbitrary boxes that we're ticking off because somebody told us that we need to be on social media. I also want to add to this that if you're a little bit like me, too much structure can probably be a bad thing for you. So don't feel locked in by what I've shown you. If you just want to plan out the video snippet, for example, because that really makes sense, then just plan that out. If you need to be a little bit more on the fly, then be on the fly. Just try and map everything back to these outcomes that you're wanting. And remember that you're in business to make money, so there needs to be opportunity for people to spend money with you. For me, this is probably just personally for me, not for everyone, but for me, this is probably just a touch too structured. And by that, I mean, all the video stuff is fine. all the video snippet stuff for Instagram is fine, but I might have maybe one other piece of content planned for Instagram, and everything else would be a little bit more on the fly, because I'm a feeler, and so I like to feel things out, and I like to, you know, some days I like to storytell, other days I like to be like, this is the 3 things you need to do, and it just really depends on time, it depends on how I'm feeling and things like that. And so if that's you, don't stress. You can be loose in it, but having this mapped out like this, especially if you're doing this for a staff member, can be so helpful, because it means that they can get the necessary content either from you, or they can write about it themselves, or however you wish for it to be distributed. They can do that themselves, and you know that they have a strategy that's worth following. You know that they have they're posting things that are going to ultimately make you money as well. So I really hope you liked this video. Thank you so much for being patient through it, because it is a bit of a stepped thing. So, you know, it does require your attention. Again, remember that you can download the content strategy sheet that I had last week in last week's video. I'm going to put the link to that in this week's video as well. That's actually going to help you map a lot of this out. It won't help you map the minutia like we did today, but it's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. I'll also pop in a weekly sheet below, and what I want you to do with that is pop in your pillar content at the top, and then depending on the platform, write in the platform, and then start writing in the micro content like we did today. There'll be an example on the sheet for you to follow. It'll essentially be what we did here today, just won't be as pretty. It'll be on paper, and it will allow you to map things out at this level. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to grab your download in the description below, grab it from the link, and tell me in the comments if this was helpful for you, if this actually helped you dive deeper and understand how to use social media a little bit better. Tell me that in the comments below. I really want to hear from you. But otherwise, I will see you next week in the next video.